Clark Dowling is such a Boy Scout.
There's Clark and the relationship that Kraven and Clark have been able to grow, where it started off with in school we hated each other, but then as we grew up, you know, from Kraven's point of view, it was the whole, you know, I have respect for you, but I think you're a little
goody two-shoes character, but only on the outside.
He's a rock. Like he's always there. He's always solid. It's good to watch him work.
Clark was born, basically it was around the same time, of course, a lot of the other characters were all together. But he, pretty much a combination of many of my favorite heroes as a child and even as an adult, the opportunity to play somebody who's inspired by all those characters, such as there's lots of elements of Indiana Jones in there. Ever since I was little, I was really big into archaeology and the adventure, that kind of thing. And Clark has a lot of elements of that, where there's artifacts in his office, things that he's tracked down, he's helped find, and he doesn't use a bullwhip, but very much so in that adventurous side of things. His use of Egyptology for his magic. Then there was a little bit of Batman in there, and the fact that he's a vigilante. He was a cop, and then he threw down his badge because he saw corruption within the system and went out and did it on his own. There's not the orphan side of it. When we did actually discuss that's even how the idea of an orphanage first came up, being in his family, that we were going to make Clark an orphan, and well, it's kind of the calling card for most heroes that I grew up with, is that they were some sort of orphan. But we decided to take a bit of a more positive spin with that, where he came from a nurturing family. So we haven't explored it so much in film yet. They've seen it in the forums, but also Sherlock Holmes with his detective mind and his smarts. We've more seen of the rough and tumble things in the film. And then when we get down to the naming him, I can't deny that I named him Clark after Superman. That's pretty blatant. Anybody who knows me.
Justice, trying to prove Kraven's innocence. He has his breaks. He's not a paladin of any sorts. He tries to stick to the rules, but I don't feel Clark can. He has his moments where he just breaks, and that's one of the great things of Clark Dowling.
Situations that we were thrown into allowed us to deepen our relationship and our friendship even further. And I like that about Clark's characters, is that Kraven, personally, Josh, having that opportunity to explore Kraven through Clark.
Clark's former rival and now best friend, Kraven Bloodthorne. It's been, Josh and I have had a great deal of fun progressing with those characters, where we got to play out this heated rivalry between the two. The kids could see the seething hatred between them. One of the best examples that I've heard from several people to try to describe Kraven and Clark's relationship to those who are new, at least back then at the time, is that they pretty much, Draco and Harry, if they grew up and then had to work together, that's the amount of...
When we were sitting down at my house and hammering out all the details about how we want to do this, how do we want to make, this world, and then everybody started creating characters, and everybody started saying, well, I want to be this, and we did borrow from, in some ways, from Harry Potter and JK Rowling, because we wanted to have some sort of familiarity there. So everybody was kind of picking aspects of different characters in a way, to say, okay, well, I want to be like, you know, Dumbledore wise, or I want to be like, you know, this character, you know, very caring, and everybody kind of took their own internal ideas and their own, you know, who they were, their personality was in reality, because we're going to do this live, so we wanted to be able to have some fallback on it. Well, my character came about because I love Snape. I think Snape's awesome, and I think the idea behind Snape, when it comes from a student's standpoint, you go to school, you have all your teachers, and you love a lot of your teachers, but there always seems to be the one teacher that creeps you out. I wanted to be that guy.
I love the fact that he is 100% committed to playing the ass, and he plays it so well, and still somehow manages to get the kids to like him, even though he's just a jerk. And that, I think that's one of the talents that he has for that. So the way he plays that character is phenomenal.
So I decided that I want to be the Snape type character. And so it came down to, you know, the character was born from, okay, the whole idea of I want to be here, but I don't want to be here. It's kind of it created this internal conflict of, I like teaching and I like the position, but I hate kids. How do you put those two together and you know, justify what you're doing? And so he became grumpy, and he became stoic, and he became the guy that would walk around and everybody would, you know, cross to the other side of the hall because he was coming down the one way.
The fact that he has no friends. Kraven has no friends. He's just this rock solid, most hated character. He's constantly saying how much he hates the faculty, how much he hates, you know, the students, that he doesn't love anybody.
It let me bring another aspect to what Avistrum was doing. I thought it, in my opinion, I thought it allowed some of the other teachers, so the kids to gravitate towards some of the other teachers and let those characters, you know, shine, because nobody wants to hang out with Bloodthorne. So it created this tension between everybody, and it created another aspect, and that was really what was my character was originally intended to be all about, was the character that nobody liked.
I'm Professor Kraven Bloodthorne. You will be expected to do two things in my class. One, you will not talk unless you are asked to.
And I was kind of wrong with that.
One wouldn't expect to be likable, but he has this undertone of caring that is so deeply buried that you just kind of want to scratch it out, you know. It's there, but he hides it behind this stoicism and this level of grumpiness that has always been really fascinating to me.
Friction that was between the two. And seeing Josh work has always been a treat. His divination classes are always tremendous, and he's such a gifted actor. It's been such a privilege to be able to play off of him and go from hating each other to relying on each other and being teammates.
Because right away, everybody started doing the hugging campaign, and I guess one of my character became one of the more likable ones, even though he didn't like anybody. It was a weird thing.
Love the journey of Kraven, you know, taking him from being the most loathsome jerk in the storyline. You see one of the most respected characters, of course, Headmaster Dowling, stand up for him and go to court with him and put his name and reputation and life on the line for him. You know, who else would like this guy? You know,
there's always a friend somewhere, and Scorpio provided that for Kraven, and which allowed Kraven to explore, which, you know, this allowed me as Kraven to explore a different aspect of the character. When he's with a lot of other people, he's stoic and he's kind of quiet and sometimes, well, but he bloomed. And you can see his transformation as he goes. He bloomed and became more and more interactive with the rest of the faculty. But, you know, it always seemed to be that you know, Kraven was the outside guy to the rest of the group. Well, Scorpio allowed him to have his own group, his own little group, and therefore become a different person, the person that, you know, more real, the more real Kraven, because now he's within a comfort zone of his own friends.
His creation was, of course, I'm sure somebody else has already touched on that from the party, but that was really cool.
All I remember is that Mikey showed up wearing his leather coats and his raggedy pants, and he's got an eye patch and this Whoopi Goldberg hair. He threw it together at the last minute, showed up at a party, and started walking around, sounding like Batman, you know, calling himself Scorpio Douglas, which was based on another character that was with Avistrum, one of our prefects, Cancer Douglas. And so he started, he didn't even have any backstory. He just kind of threw something together and said, "To hell with it, I'm not Scorpio Douglas. Where are they?" You know, sort of thing. And he told me ahead of time about it. Ahead of time being like an hour ahead of time. Because he called me and goes, "Dude, I'm going to do this. I got an idea. Here we go." And play off with it. And I'm like, okay. And so he showed up, and it just started from there. And that was the first time I ever met Scorpio Douglas. I didn't know anything about him, and I'm supposed to play it off like he's been my long-lost friend, and I didn't even know what he was going to look like. And here comes Whoopi Goldberg in a leather jacket. And just, that is where Scorpio came from. A party and a bad wig. And that's the first time I met Scorpio.
You know, who would be friends with a jerk like this? Well, possibly this rough other bully who would pair it up with him. The Kraven and Scorpio duality is such a great it's such a great personality combination, where he treats him like his dog, and he's a werewolf, so that makes it all the funnier. Always digging on him, and Scorpio follows him blindly because he does love Kraven.
He's a big old pissed off wolf, and he probably hated Clark more than Kraven.
You weren't there, and from what I understand, you're never there. You let her go free so you can play the hero. Now you Knocktail saves the world again. It wasn't about being a hero. It was about doing what was necessary.
Now, are you two gonna play nice, or do I have to keep throwing things?
And at least that kind of what it seemed like with this choice of names for Clark, Noggy being one of the more endearing ones.
This team of bullies, of course, they're picking on the low and the downtrodden and things like that. They're not exactly the nicest people in the world. So Clark Dowling is there to defend, and he's this defender. That's what I love most about Clark, is he's this defender of the people. He wants to be Superman. He wants to be the hero. He wants to help the downtrodden, the people that are being bullied. He stands up for those kinds of people. And he did that while in Avistrum, and standing up to Kraven and Scorpio. And so Scorpio's never forgiven him for standing up for some of his victims.
It's true, though.
I know, it's awesome.
It really was. It's just, you got Whoopi Goldberg walking in with a biker jacket and a 12-pack of beer. Dub.
Good time to me.
Where are they? Oh.
Scorpio and Trouble met online, actually, on the Avistrum forum. Really, that was their first connection, and that was when Scorpio was first appearing on the website and needed a place to make an introduction there. So he came into my greenhouse. And Trouble had no idea who the heck this scraggly biker dude was. And when she caught him, she was up in her office and she heard sounds down in the greenhouse proper and caught him skulking around, working on stealing some plants and various and sundry ingredients to make the concoction that would keep him mellow. Given his nature, keeping him mellow always was a very important thing. And it was his appearance that actually first gave Desiree the impetus to get a spine a little bit more. Not that she was ever really wimpy, but he showed up right when things were starting to really go wrong around the school in this really dark way. And that was the first time she'd ever actually actively pulled a wand on someone, was on Scorpio Douglas. And he kind of appreciated the spunk, I think, and that developed this relationship between Desiree and Douglas to kind of create this mellow sort of truce with jibes along the way. He would call her Appleseed and she would call him Mr. Douglas, which was irritating to him. And it became a thing where, he helped her grow a spine and she helped him by keeping him in calming potions. She would mix those up for him. And it was really a turning point of Desiree's character.
She grew up in New Orleans, and Scorpio recognizes that as the someone that could understand him due to the legends of the Loup-Garou. So he uses that as an angle, and she starts to protect him a little bit by giving him a Wolfsbane potion, so that way he can kind of control his anger a little bit easier, or his wolf out.